I beg to lay on the table the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Authority Annual Performance Report for financial year 2021-2022. I beg to lay.
Please lay. I refer the report to the Committee for Finance, Planning and Economic Development. And in the same vein, I would urge the committee to consider all the pending reports which are before the committee and bring them to the floor. And we have the most urgent one on operationalization, the regulations for Islamic banking in MDIs. Next.
Item 3B, the National Water and Sewerage Corporation Integrated Annual Report 2021-2022.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Ministry of Water, I beg to lay the National Water and Sewage Corporation Integrated Annual Report 21-22.
Thank you so much. Refer to the Committee of Environment and Natural Resources.
Item 3C, the National Physical Planning Board Annual Performance Report for the financial year 21-22.
Honorable Minister of Lands.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of government, we want to lay the annual report of the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development for the financial year 2022, for the financial year ended 2022.
21-22, thank you. I refer to the Committee of Fiscal Infrastructure.
Item 3D, report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the National Physical Planning Board for the financial year ended 30th June 2022.
Parliamentary Commissioner.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the National, not this, the National Physical Planning Board. I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Speaker. My order is not addressed to Honorable Serwan. Right,
You know,
Honorable Speaker?
you only raise an order on the person.
Yes, there's an order I would like to raise to Honorable Speaker. It's a point of order.
Is somebody not dressed?
May I, yes, may I know, right, Honorable Speaker, whether the honorable member dressed in a casual green shirt is actually appropriately dressed for this parliamentary sitting?
The Honorable Gol is dressed in a traditional African attire, and he's very, very smart.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. I beg to lay the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of the National Fiscal Planning Board for the financial year ended 30th June 2022. I beg to lay.
Thank you. I refer the report to the Public Accounts Committee, Central, and should be reported back within 6 months. That is pursuant to Article 163(5) of the Constitution and Rule 174, 6 of the Rules of Procedure. And I want to remind your committees to present their reports. The 6 months have passed. I have only got reports from our local government. And we are giving government assurances time this week, next week.
Madam Speaker, I will do as directed.
Thank you.
Item 4, Bill's second reading, the Income Tax Amendment number 2 Bill 2023.
Honorable members, we stood over this bill And we asked the Minister of Finance, Attorney General, and the committee to harmonize. Can we get a report of harmonization? But as we get the report of harmonization, our clogging machines are working. We are going to have a printout for the last session, and it will be on the print media. Can I have a report of harmonization? Can I first hear from Honorable Chivombi? No, let me first.
Honorable Chair, Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. I think, in my humble view, the chair has a position.
No, did you harmonize? What I
Chair,
want
in
to find
brief,
out.
we did not.
You didn't?
At a committee level, we did not agree. The government came and we met them. The committee went into its own meeting after government had left, and there remained one issue, which is very simple, which we can flash out and pass this bill.
And
that one issue is only on the definition of interest. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, if permit me to speak about why we still hold a very strong opinion on a definition of interest, is that essentially, Right Honorable Speaker, interest under Islamic banking is riba. The core principle of Islamic banking is on a basis that it is charitable, that it goes to help the disadvantaged to leverage their position. And in the whole transaction, there is nothing like a profit. Even there is no interest or income to tax under Islamic banking financing. Now, the framers of this bill simply didn't interrogate, even if any of us who have iPad Google, which I can ask all members who want to contribute to Google, that just put Google meaning of riba. Even Google will give you the definition of riba. And it goes ahead to define what riba is in the Google definition. It simply means the differences in Islamic banking is that if I'm going to, first of all, Islamic banking is not speculative. It has a quid pro quo. If you're going to give me money, Right Honorable Speaker, bank to give me money to buy a car, the bank will buy a car in its own name. That's why in the stamp duty exercise bill, we never put a tax when the bank is registering that car, because there is no actual ownership, it's in a trust. Now, when I'm paying back, let me say 100 million, I'm supposed to pay back 100 million. The only difference can be is in the transaction fees that are involved, which we call markups. In the whole transaction, it's against the Quranic teaching to assume there will be excess money above the markup cost, and there is no income in that transaction. So it's just minimal pay for fees to process, to transact and complete that transaction. Now, the framers of the Income Act look for income, and therefore they assume there is a profit, and therefore it will attract a tax. That's why in the position of the committee, which I strongly believe is the right interpretation of the law under Sharia, is that where there is interest, we replace it with mark up. Because the moment we manage the world outside here, the moment you a very good intention will be decampaigned on a basis that is against the teachings of Islam or against the Sharia law. And therefore, and that is Right Honorable Speaker, Attorney General, all the witnesses that came before our parliament, Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, the Uganda's Muslim Lawyers Association, that all appeared, were almost agreeable to other things, but they voiced concern with that issue. That's why, and it's at the core of what is called Islamic banking. Not to go into those murky waters, we request government this time, this is a very noble cause, long overdue, to agree with our position. And where there is interest, we put markup. That will simply address that issue. In our humble view, that's a contentious issue. I've been speaking to many of my colleagues who are Muslims in this parliament to sell your position, but it seems like it's unsellable because it will offend the Quran. It's that serious.
Can I have AJ?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we are not writing a religious law. No, listen, no, it's a submission.
Honorable Sumani, if you're used to quarreling with the voters, well, this is not Bugiri.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we have tried to harmonize this matter. This law we are writing here is not being written in Uganda only. It's being written in other places. And for purposes of guiding the House today, I came with a copy of the Kenyan tax law, which is very, very close to us here, and has the definition of interest in here for Islamic law. And it has worked in Kenya for a couple of years, and it has worked very well. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this tax law uses the word interest 126 times. So the moment you change that word interest in this tax law, you must allow us to go back and redo all the 126 items that appear in the Income Tax Act which deal with interest. We are defining the word interest for purposes of Islamic law with that expectation that under Islamic law, there is no markup. And if there is no markup, then it will be zero, there will be no interest. Because if, I haven't finished. Let me finish.
Is that what you've included, that there is no markup under Islamic law?
That's what we are, that is the definition that is being created here, that for purposes of Islamic law, it has to only be that amount which is higher than what they agreed to pay back. So the issue here, Right Honorable Speaker, is that this definition is not only in Uganda, it's here. And I would like to lay a copy of the Kenya tax law, and it defines interest similar to ours. So, Right Honorable Speaker, the problem is, Right Honorable Speaker, if we...
Honorable Attorney General, if there is an aspect of no markup, I don't see why we are wasting our time. Can we go to committee stage?
Motion.
Put a motion.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House constitute itself into committee stage to discuss the bill. I beg to move.
Is it seconded? Seconded by Attorney General, Minister of Finance, by everybody in the House because of markup.
Income Tax Amendment Number 2, Bill 2023, Bills Committee stage.
Honorable members, I did not put a question because we put a question last time. So we're supposed to be at committee stage, and that's why I have not put a question, and the quorum was determined.
Clause 1.
Clause 1, Chair.
Right Honorable Speaker, clause 1 has no amendments.
Chair, clause 1 is where we are seeking the indulgence of the committee to replace return on investment, the word return on investment, with markup. First, that's why we are seeking the indulgence, so that the other aspects remain consequential.
AJ.
Right Honorable Speaker, is if you're going to introduce to replace return on investment with markup, those are two different things. A markup is a build up on an amount. Return on investment is the return that you get for your investment. It's totally different. It is more inclusive. The different kinds of Islamic banking that exist use different models. Some people like he gave the example of the car, that is one model. There are other models which are used where the entity, you buy them in another person's names. You handle them in another person's name. So the different models do not necessarily all use the model of markup, but they use a return on investment. Colleagues, what we need to agree and appreciate that even with Islamic banking, I will give you 100 million and I expect back 110 million at the end of the day, which is supposed to take care of the management fees and all the other costs to manage the what? To manage that portfolio. It doesn't necessarily mean that is a profit or interest, but it is a cost that is built up on it. So if you say markup, it is not a return on that investment, not necessarily a return. I beg my colleagues that these provisions that we are dealing with here,
we have not picked them. We are not creating them here for the first time. We have benchmarked and borrowed from other jurisdictions which have actually done Islamic banking. I beg that
Attorney General, as you continue the negotiation, can we go to clause 2? We stand over that, then we come back.
Clause 2.
I put it. There is no amendment. I put a question that clause 2 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
New clause.
New clause, Chair. We don't have a new clause.
Clause 3.
Do you have amendment?
Honorable Speaker and colleagues, there are no amendments on the next clause.
I put a question that clause 3 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
Right Honorable Speaker, for purposes of clarity, it was only the first clause that had issues. The rest of the clauses, there were no amendments.
Okay. I put a question that clause 4 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I put a question that clause 5 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
I put a question that clause 6 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 7.
I put a question that clause 7 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
I put a question that clause 8 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 9.
I put a question that clause 9 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 10.
I put a question that clause 10 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
I put a question that clause 11 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 12.
I put a question that clause 12 stands part of the bill. Do you have?
Clause 12.
Clause 12, Chair.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, in clause 12, there is an element of recharacterization of arrangement under Islamic financing. And the committee observed the following. It was proposed that the Commissioner General's powers be furthered by amending the provision to include the need for the Commissioner General to consult with experts on Sharia law, including the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council and the Accounting and Auditing Organization of the Islamic Financial Institutions. And AAOIFI is an Islamic international autonomous non-profit making corporate body that prepares accounting, auditing, governance, ethics, and Sharia standards for Islamic financial institutions and the industry. The committee, however, noted that provision under 12, clause 12, already fetters the powers of the Commissioner General for purposes of recharacterizing Islamic financial business. Clause 2 of the proposed section 163A specifically states that the Commissioner General shall, emphasis added, comply with the Sharia principles in characterizing an arrangement under Islamic financial business not provided for under this act. The committee observed that the issue of the word shall restricts the exercise of characterizing any arrangement under Islamic financial business by the Commissioner General to only that is or which is acceptable under the principles of Sharia. Any further specification of the law may limit the Commissioner General to only one entity mentioned, which may limit the implementation of the law itself. And therefore, the committee recommends that clause 12 be maintained in the bill.
Honorable Chair, when there is no amendment, you said, as you said before, there is no amendment. I put a question that clause 12 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. There is no amendment. No. There is no amendment. The chair.
He talked about consultation of Uganda Muslim Supreme Council alone, but you should accept that now there would be an amendment any other leadership of Islamic faith in Uganda, because you know that we have two. There are two muftis in this country, by the way. Can we?
No, he just made an observation.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's very important.
Clause 13.
I put a question that clause 13 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Title.
Clause 1.
Clause 1.
Clause 1. The amended position. Agreed position.
Yeah, clause 1.
Hajat, in the Sharia law, when the Hajis are talking, the Hajats sit. So we delegated the Hajj to talk.
Chair, that's the correct position of
That's
Sharia.
the correct position.
And I want to thank you for appreciating that, Chair. A very correct position. Chair, I really want to seek the indulgence of the committee and the learned Attorney General that we consider, because you see, learned Attorney General, you are giving examples across the region and other parts. There are two things we need to appreciate. The Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi was explaining that you see, when you are talking about Islamic banking and you are looking at collecting taxes, the two are completely incompatible. Even the examples you cite of Kenya and everywhere, they are not taxing Islamic banking. They are not taxes. Now, Saudi Arabia and the others, the challenge we have here is that we want to look at Islamic banking as a source of taxes. And that is where the problem is. So we want to kindly beg you. And you see, we must be very careful not to use clawback clauses in this piece of legislation, where you are giving with one hand and taking away with another. It's really going to, if you really want to help the community, and just for information purposes, Islamic banking is not about Muslims. When this service is eventually rolled out there, the banks that are going to be providing this service are not going to ask for your faith for you to access it. I think it's also important to state that and put it in context. We are looking at a service available to everybody. Just like when this country goes to borrow in the Islamic world, they don't do so because it's an Islamic country. They don't do so because it's an Islamic country. We may be a member of OIC, but we are not necessarily an Islamic country. Therefore, I want to beseech you, Chair, Minister and Learned Attorney General, that wherever the word interest appears in this committee, I mean in this bill, we replace it with markup. As simple as that.
Yes, Hajat.
Chair, I want to justify the use of markup against return on investment. Return on investment is profit. Now, Islamic banking is looking at other costs, not necessarily profit. Now, the word markup includes both. The word markup will include other costs that could be added, operational costs, would also include if there is any profit anyway, which is not meant to be there. But when you use return on investment, you are speaking to profit, which is not meant to be there. Islamic banking presupposes that you are loaning the person money to help him go out of a situation, therefore not look up to making profit. So the word return on investment defeats the logic, the whole principle of Islamic banking. I join colleagues to plead to the Attorney General to accept use of markup other than return on investment.
Now you're confusing.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the Attorney General, that word return on investment is not necessarily a profit. And the profit is the business, profit on the other measures that performance of the business is what you call profit. But return on profit is not necessarily a profit in the legal terms. I think you have to clarify this very well. The word return on profit is not profit. Return on investment is not profit. Because the profit is about the hardship and what you have done in your business, what you get out. But return on investment, you should explain that as the Attorney General, is not profit. I think you should clarify that.
You just want to define the word. You see, but you see, return on investment. Now, how do you return on investment?
Not matter, because return on investment is the figure, the cost of the
Now what you do? What you do?
We shall have Catholic banking now. Where shall we go?
Honorable members, can I have silence? Come, you call for me. Asuman. Asuman, come. Honorable members, we need harmony in the house. We will not pass something that where other people are disgruntled and where you'll find, and then you'll find the minister will write and say that was not the position of executive. So let's agree, let the other side agree with the Attorney General. We come with a harmonized position. And that's basically what we are doing. Yes. Yes. Sleep over what?
Procedure, Madam.
If you want to sleep, you go and sleep.
Add the procedure matter.
Yes.
I'm on point of privilege. Thank you. Procedure
Is,
takes precedent.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
I am not giving all of you because I am at committee stage. I am at committee stage. I'm waiting for a harmonized position. Attorney General, we are waiting for you. Honorable members, the clause that we are looking at, when you look at the amendment under clause 1, and Aisha, I want you to listen to this. The payment of excess of return on investment in the bond to the bondholder and Islamic financial business for each payment period over interest as defined under paragraph KK 6. When you go to paragraph KK 6, any payment of excess of total amount paid by a bond issuer over the above the amount received from the bond holder and Islamic financial services for each payment period, calculated at a rate not exceeding a rate determined by the central bank, does not include dividends, or a partner's share or partnership income derived from partnership arrangement and Islamic financial businesses. It goes further and says, by inserting immediately after the definition of interest the following. Now that's where it brings in Islamic banking. Immediately after the word is interest, it says Islamic financial business means financial business undertaken by a person that shall conform to Sharia principles and includes a business of receiving property into profit sharing investment accounts, or for managing such accounts. Now you are replacing the interest with the Sharia law. Okay? Any other business of a person which involves or is intended to involve the entry into one or more contracts under the Sharia and otherwise carried out or purported to be carried out in accordance with the Sharia principles, including equity or partnership financing, lease-based financing, sale-based financing, currency exchange contract, or fee-based activity. Now, this is what we have been arguing. The law should be read interchangeably. You don't read only one section and say, that is enough. They've defined what interest is, and they have defined what Islamic banking is. Are we together, Hajat?
Yes, Chair, we are together. But the problem stems from the very first one, which you read, the very first clause.
On the
Markup includes operational costs and and return on investment. Okay, that is markup. Return on investment is expressly profit. So when you use markup, Right Honorable Chair, what
now the definition of markup shows how much more a company's selling price is than the amount the item costs in a company. That is that. In general, the higher the markup, the more revenue the company makes. That is a markup.
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair.
Wait, I'm still giving you return on investment.
If you could allow me to interpret that.
Okay.
Markup includes selling cost in total after adding operational costs, and what you want to gain as a company, your return. So it's a selling price in total inclusive of operational costs and the return on investment. That's a markup, and that's how I understand it, and that's how we have interpreted it. Then you can help us get the return on investment, which I understand to be a profit. And colleagues, I want to bring you to the attention of the words Honorable Mwanga Chivumi brought to our attention initially, that the whole essence of Islamic banking is to be able to help someone to get out of a situation.
First of all, the return on investment is calculated by dividing the profit earned on the investment by the cost of that investment. For instance, an investment with a profit of, say, $100 and the cost and its cost of $100 would have a return on investment of 100%. If your cost of operation was $100 and you make a profit equivalent to what you invested, that is what they call a return on investment. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. You just emphasized what I said. A return investment is getting a summation of every money that you have invested in the business and be able to calculate what you want to get out of it. That's a return on investment. And Islamic banking does not envisage a situation that you will invest money to make a gain, the organization to make a gain. It envisages a situation that you'll invest money to make someone salvage a situation. So the money that is expected to be added over and above is operational cost. The moment you put there return on investment, you are saying that the one who is investing will make a personal gain. The business will make a personal gain, which is assumed to be exploitative of a person that is actually coming for assistance.
Honorable members, the principle is agreed that all what is provided for in the law should be read interchangeably. Now, the issue that is here is on the markup versus return on investment. I'm going to put a question. I thought you were speaking for and on behalf of the Sharia.
And right, Honorable Chair, I heard the Attorney General say here that it is assumed that return in Islamic banking, return on investment is zero. And he said that if he assumes the return of investment is zero, what is the problem? I really don't understand the problem here. Except, like one of our colleagues said, we are giving with one hand and one take away with the other hand. Let's wait for them, sir, to return and then we make a conclusion.
Honorable members, we still have another bill we need to finalize.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair. Yeah, Madam Chair, thank you very much. You have well said that we still have another bill, but this very particular bill is very important and we have been waiting for it. And last time we gave the Attorney General and the team time to go and reconcile. I can now see them coming back, hoping that they will help this parliament with the agreed position that must make us move forward. Madam Chair, thank you.
Honorable members, I don't even see any problem with that clause. It's just for trying to practice democracy. Can you report? Can you report, Asmani?
Yeah, I want to thank you. We have had a very fruitful discussion where our view was to have the committee report position maintained. The learned Attorney General and his side of the opinion that the wording of the bill where business is conducted under Islamic banking, the provision of interest and taxes will not apply. And that's the import of KK. KK. No, not KK, the Attorney General.
It is a provision of KK.
KKA.
KKA.
Yes, Chair. Chair, we were trying to look at what the bill says in relation to clauses 5, 6, and 7 in relation to the discussion we've been having. And the interpretation of the learned Attorney General is that our concerns are well catered for under KKA, which deals with Islamic financial businesses that have been defined.
Thank you. You mean you've just seen? That's what I was saying. I put a question that clause 1 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say the control and nay. The ayes have it.
Title.
I put a question that the title stands part of the bill. Those in favor say the control and nay. The ayes have it.
Motion for resumption of the House.
Madam Chair, I beg to move that the House do resume and the Committee of the whole House reports thereto.
I put a question that the House resumes and the Committee of the whole House reports thereto. Those in favor say the control and nay. The ayes have it.
Report of the Committee of the whole House.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the whole House has considered the bill entitled the Income Tax Amendment Bill number 2, 2023 and passed it with no amendments.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee of the whole House.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the report from the Committee of the whole House be adopted.
I put a question that the House adopts the report of the Committee of the whole House. Those in favor say and the control and nay. The ayes have it.
Bill's third reading, the Income Tax Amendment number 2, Bill 2023.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the Income Tax Amendment Bill number 2 of 2023 be read for the third time and do pass.
I put a question that the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2023 number 2 be read a third time and do pass. Those in favor say and the control and nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act titled the Income Tax Amendment number 2 Act 2023.
Bill passed and title settled. Can we have the next bill?
Bill's second reading, the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023.
The Imam, I will give you to say a word after. Don't worry. This is still your bill.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move a motion that the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 be read for the second time.
Is it seconded? Seconded by Tebandeke. Tebandeke, first come back. Tebandeke, Honorable Moma, Honorable Jara, Linda, Soroti Gueri, Chairman Anite Koboko, by the whole house. Maje Maje. Can you speak to your bill?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the bill seeks to amend the Foreign Exchange Act of 2004 to provide for the enhancement of the minimum capital requirements to carry on foreign exchange business, the use of technology in operations and charging the administrative penalties, the strengthening of the vetting requirements, and the harmonization of the regulatory regime pertaining the foreign exchange bureaus and the money remittance companies with the East African Community region. Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Chivumbi. Did you have any?
Right, Honorable Speaker, the time limited for this bill and the urgency was very, but there are three takeaways which in your indulgence you will address. One of them is because of time, I can't fault a committee for elaborate consultation. But the second issue regards in transfer fees. You know, when we are making this bill, Right Honorable Speaker, Forex bureaus are one of the low-hanging fruits for which so many of our local people pay. The minimum capital now required will be 50 million to operate a Forex bureau. But if you are going to transfer both local and foreign investors, but when it comes to participating in the transfers, the cost will be 200 million, both local and foreign. Now, we have to be very careful as we make this law that we don't outcompete, that the foreign people don't completely wipe away our local people. Because it's so critical when you even them, the possibility that our local participants in there gets squeezed under this, especially where now the requirement is 200 million, there is likely to be. So we have to be very careful. The second issue that is of contention is on excessive powers being given to the governor in amending, in coming up with fees. Like we did on all tax laws, it will be so critical that we cure that. And at some stage, because there's no minority report, at some stage, that those instruments be approved by Parliament. Because you are talking about fees, if not well handled, threaten the very participation of our local people.
And you find the governor can also abuse his powers.
Yeah, these powers can be excessive under those circumstances. So those are three issues, the two issues that we need to carefully, as Parliament, address whether the law we enact does not eliminate the local participant in this trade. It's 10%. They noted it is 10% of our GDP. Our GDP, 10% of the transactions are in that sector. Do our people continue to have a niche in it, or by amending it and raising this bar so high, we are eliminating them? With those concerns.
So for now, we don't have amendments until we come up with those amendments, both in the Bank of Uganda and then.
If Parliament deems it so under your own guidance, we can cure those things without so much controversy.
Yes.
I beg you for your.
So we don't have any amendments for this case. Thank you. Can we go, move a motion? Move a motion.
Right, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair to indict me that I didn't do my work. I did my work, but we have had only one day.
Honorable Aisha, stop blackmailing my very able.
And you know, he's
minister.
my voter. So I'm careful when I lose confidence of my voter.
Voter, now voter, can you move a motion that we go to next bill?
Thank you, Right Honorable Chair. I was about to raise for a point of order. I thought Honorable Mwanga was not in order to come here and simply talk, yet he had the right to propose an amendment. He didn't utilize that opportunity to make proposals to us. That said, Chair, I hereby move a motion that we move to committee stage to consider this bill.
Whatever the consequences, we don't mind.
Chair, Speaker, did I?
Thank you. Aisha, you have moved a motion. Is it seconded? Seconded by Ethel, Margaret, Moses, Max, Guerre, Anifa. Thank you. Honorable members, we have the quorum. I put a question that the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 be read for the second time. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
The Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023, Bills Committee stage. Clause 1.
Clerk, I want you to uphold the report and in line with what Honorable Mwanga Chivumbi also presented, the report should be uploaded on our Hansard. Clause 1, I put a question that clause 1 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say and the contrary nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I put a question that clause 2.
Hey, you said there is no amendment.
When I made my comments, I thought you'd accommodate in the interest of the country. In the interest of, I said, I work under very constraint of also of human resource. I constrained my small workforce that work on that. So, Right Honorable Speaker, under this clause, I want to move that transfer for our local investors on the minimum 50. I agree. People who don't have 50 million, whether local or foreign, cannot engage in this business. It is highly requires a lot of cash. But for our local, to give our local people some small advantage, we put it to 150 million and the foreigners 200. Just no, 150
and local 150 share capital and the foreign ones 200.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, Chair, the law we are debating under the proposal is trying to bring, I don't see how it comes in. The law defines a forex bureau. Minimum capital requirements for forex bureaus and money remittances. So we cannot now begin bringing in a forex bureau which is owned locally and a forex bureau which is owned. We can't. These are companies.
Honorable members, is that part of the object? How will you know that when I go to a forex bureau, this one is operated by a local person and a foreigner? Can we hear from the chair?
Madam Chair and honorable colleagues, during our interface with the stakeholders, we realized and we got information that when this attempt was made to regularize betting, sports betting and the law around that, we had issues and it did not take off. So that's why we said, particularly when we are addressing this, it is double-edged in a sense that we are trying also to address issues of money laundering. And we shouldn't try to bring it low, yet our locals, even if they're operating, their businesses can be used for money laundering. And 200 million, in our opinion, as a committee, we think it is not so big, given the amounts that they use. Because, the difference here is we're talking about forex bureaus and remittance of money or money transfers to other countries. And we think by the time you're at that level, you should be having that capacity.
Thank you for giving way. Madam Chair, if we begin now to say local in a liberalized economy, we are going even against the principles of East African community. Yes. So I would suggest we don't go that way. I'm giving information, Honorable Chair. We should not go that way. We are going to contradict the principles of the integration of East African community and even the principles of running a liberalized economy.
Additionally, Madam Chair.
Honorable members, let's not create a scenario where we have people hide behind being locals when they are foreigners. Let's make a law for everybody who is here. Yes.
Madam Chair, I want to make this point that let's say this is a player. These are players in the financial sector space. We have banks there. Some are domestically owned, others are foreign owned. Capital is capital to these banks.
We have insurance players in the same industry. Their capital is capital, whether foreign or domestically owned. And also, the point you have just made, Madam Chair, we risk creating a window where people are going to start hiding under domestic when they are foreign. And also, when we talk about local, in the current laws, we define local to mean East African. There is a risk that we may tamper with the harmonization of the ESC community. Madam Chair, I want to invite colleagues really to...
Honorable members, I wanted to find out from the minister the minimum capital that is charged to the commercial banks. Does it differentiate the local and foreign? For instance, if you're looking at Centenary Bank, which is local, and Stanchart, do they charge different?
Madam Chair, the capital requirements in commercial banks is defined by tiers. If you are tier 1, you are charged a certain minimum capital requirement.
Regardless of where you come from?
Regardless of where you come from.
Honorable members, I put a question that clause 2 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 3.
I put a question that clause 3 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
I put a question that clause 4 stands part of the bill. Those in favor, the ayes have it.
Clause 5.
I put a question that clause 5 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 6.
I put a question that clause 6 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 7.
I put a question that clause 7 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 8.
Clause 8, I put a question that clause 8 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 9.
I put a question that clause 9 starts part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 10.
I put a question that clause 10 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Clause 11.
I put a question that clause 11 stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Title.
I put a question that the title stands part of the bill. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Motion for resumption of the House.
Madam Chair, I beg to move a motion that the House do resume and the committee of the whole House reports thereto.
I put a question that the House resumes and the committee of the whole House resumes there too. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the whole House has considered the bill entitled the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 and passed it with no amendments.
Thank you.
Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move a motion that the report from the Committee of the whole House be adopted.
I put a question that the House adopts the report of the Committee of the whole House. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Bill's third reading, the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023.
Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to move that the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 be read for the third time and do pass.
I put a question that the Foreign Exchange Amendment Bill 2023 be read a third time and do pass. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
A bill for an act titled the Foreign Exchange Amendment Act 2023.
Bill passed and title settled. Can I hear from Honorable Chivu? Where is he?
Right Honorable Speaker, we thank you for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, I have just a small word. One, first of all, I think, I represent a constituency which is called the Mecca of Islam in Uganda. Butambala is the Mecca of Muslims in Uganda. And Chibuli is the headquarter. It's Medina something.
Why are you removing Old Kampala?
No, Old Kampala is the headquarter. Let me not go through those issues. Those are stone issues, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, would like one, thank government for considering this product. In our humble way, it has been long overdue. Secondly, our humble view is to appeal to allay the fears of the broader society in Uganda. We know the back and forth of so many centers of power that may feel a level of discomfort with Islamic banking. Islamic banking is not for Muslims. It will go to the poorest, the poor of our community. And it will help people irrespective of their religious background. Therefore, we want to appeal to those powerful centers to give it a chance, to give it an opportunity to thrive, because it will address a key gap in access to affordable, cheap sources of financing business in this country. Even when you go to microfinance, when you even go to Myoga, the interest is still 15%, 11%. It's still very expensive money. World over, capital is around 33%, 4%, 2%. Our people can't compete at a global level if we are still charging interest of 19, 20 plus. Therefore, Islamic financing, and we are speaking to the powers that I know, and I'm making a humble appeal to give this product a chance to thrive in this market. It will help the poorest of the poor. It will help our country grow. I beg to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much. And of course, competition is healthy.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you. And on behalf of the Muslim Parliamentary Caucus, where Right Honorable Speaker, you are an associate member, we want to thank you so much for guiding this House to this historical piece of legislation. And I want to, in a special way, thank the committee, Minister for Finance, my brother, the learned Attorney General. We have had very beautiful discussions, but as I said, all for the good of the country. And Right Honorable Speaker, just to emphasize, Islamic banking is not intended to Islamize this country. In any case, our constitution is very clear. We are a secular country. I say so because of the fears and worries we have, even including you, Right Honorable Speaker, which I am privy to. So we want to, and I have made this point before, that Islamic banking is for everybody.
Honorable Naomi wants to seek for a clarification.
Oh, okay.
Thank you so much. And I also would like to appreciate our brothers, one from the making of Muslims in Butambara and our leader here. I just want to clear my mind about the Sharia law because it is always connected to this. And I think even the people who were fearing to bring this was fearing that Sharia law. Can you shed some light on this Sharia law?
Honorable members, we'll have a session. I'm going to organize for a session for people to understand the operation of this, such that when you go to the constituencies, you're able to explain ably. So let's have a session, finance, arrange for a session. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, when I was thanking you as an associate member of the Muslim Parliamentary Caucus, you were busy somewhere, but let it go on record that you presided over Parliament that passed a law that introduced Islamic banking and financing. Let
Yes.
it go on record.
Yes,
Right Honorable Speaker,
I'm an associate member. My husband is a Muslim.
Yes,
And I'm a Catholic.
Yes, you are an associate member and a proud one, by the way, a proud one. Right Honorable Speaker, finally is again to give information. When the world was facing economic depression, some of the countries that survived this economic depression, like Malaysia, Indonesia, and others, are countries that have inculcated aspects of Islamic banking in their economies. So it's important that we are comforted. And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, as other countries are threatening to cut aid, with this kind of system, we are able to accommodate the shocks that may easily be caused by aid aid cuts by these people who want us to use wrong addresses in our country. I thank you.
Let me hear from LOP, then chairman and finance. Honorable Mpuga Matthias, you're most welcome. We missed you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to thank you, Madam Speaker. I was here, and the Muslims, when you get out of here, try to call Honorable Latif Sebagala. Madam Speaker, I remember when he was always sitting in that corner, he was fighting hard about the Islamic banking. And of course, with I'm just making a comment, and I'm about to conclude. So we want to thank you. The only prayer we make is the usual one we made before, that after, kindly, don't bring it back. We have made enough consultations. Madam Speaker sat here, you went behind, and everything has gone well.
Thank you.
Our prayer is to see the president assent and this law becomes effective as the honorable member has stated.
Thank
Madam.
you. And for me, my special thanks really go to government for bringing this law timely. Yes, Chair. Chair.
Right Honorable
Professor
Speaker,
first, do it.
thank you so much. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you and the honorable colleagues and my Minister for Finance, but most especially the members of the Finance Committee. Right Honorable Speaker, for me as the leader of this team, as the chairperson, these were our maiden reports and in a record time. So I wouldn't fail to underscore the performance of the team of the Finance Committee, having reported as required by you, the Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, members of the committee.
Thank you so much. I require, you showed that you can perform very well. So I want the income tax amendment bill on Thursday in the House. And then the tax procedures should be brought to the House next Thursday. And all the regulations that are with you. Thank you.
Item 6.
Let the minister first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Let me start by thanking you for having processed these bills in the record time of less than 2 weeks. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the chairperson of the Finance Committee for his maiden assignment. I've been telling him that in the Finance Committee, you come there to work, and whenever you are called upon, you must work. He has proved that he is up to the task, and I want to really congratulate him and the colleagues for this. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Attorney General. His participation in these bills makes our life easy at Ministry of Finance.
Thank you.
And you can see how he really stepped in to really help us. I want to thank government led by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He's the man behind all this we do, and is the one who has been pushing us to regularize Islamic banking. I really want to thank him and the Prime Minister, of course, Majegere, for her able leadership, and all our cabinet colleagues who are here, particularly my colleague from the ministry, Honorable Anite, whom we sit with in the top management to discuss these things. Madam Chair, I cannot fail to thank my counterpart, the Shadow Minister of Finance, and the leader of opposition for their support always. I know we normally start with a lot of back and forth, but we eventually harmonize for the good of this country. I want to really thank you so much.
Thank you so much, honorable members, and thank you for this so many bills. I want to thank government for bringing the Islamic banking law timely. Since we passed for MDIs, it was necessary to have the Financial Institutions Act or bill in place. And I want to thank, I must apologize, I must have over-harassed you, the chair, but that was baptism by fire. And that committee is not is a committee. And as I've said, I want the remaining bills on Thursday on the floor. And Attorney General, you will always remain my best. You will always remain my best. Nobody will change it. And Honorable Chivumbi, thank you for putting a very spirited fight with Imam. You've done a good job. Imam, I'm always humble. Members of Parliament, thanks for being in the House, and you know very well the issue is on the quorum. Majegere, quorum. And thank you for coming. Next item.
Item 6.
Professor.
Thank you,
Professor.
Right Honor. I'm raising on Rule 78, subsection 7, point of privilege.
Professor.
Madam Speaker, as we embrace Islamic banking, which take care of issues of interest and exploitation, many consumers in this country are complaining on how telecom companies are cheating them on issues of expired bundles, issues of callback tune payments to artists. They are even raising a question, who is benefiting from mobile money for the deceased? Madam Speaker, it would be of interest to the country.
Honorable member, that is a very urgent matter of public concern. It's not of privilege. So you can bring it as a substantial matter. Bring it as a substantial matter. It is a very serious issue.
So, Madam Speaker,
It is a very serious issue. Bring it, and then we refer it to the Committee of ICT. We handle it very well. Yeah.
Item 6, statement by the Right Honorable Prime Minister on government business for the succeeding week, pursuant to Rule 28 of the Rules of Procedure.
Thank you so much, Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I move under Rule 28 of our Rules of Procedure that requires me to make a statement in the House regarding business of the succeeding week. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I therefore submit the following business for the week of 4th to 6th July 2023. The Animal Feed Bill 2022, and then we shall have a motion to thank His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda for the clear exposition of the government policy contained in the State of the Nation address to the Parliament of Uganda on Wednesday, 7th June this year. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you. We'll have one item. So I'm adding another item. Income tax. The income tax amendment bill, and then the tax procedures code. And then we'll have the narcotics. We need them in the House next week. Next.
Item 7, Prime Minister's time.
Prime Minister, under Rule 41.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the number of questions that came from members, and allow me to go straight to these questions and responses. The Honorable Mwate Kamwa, Gaffa, Member of Parliament, Igala West. He said that there are allegations of substitution of some rural schools that were earmarked for government funding in the budget of the year 2022-2023 with other more privileged schools. And his prayer is, can the Prime Minister clarify on this matter? That Honorable Speaker, my response is that we appreciate the concern raised about the placement of rural schools that were earmarked for funding with more privileged ones. The ministry, that Honorable Speaker, has a clear criterion against which requests for granting a school are measured, including: one, the school should be licensed or registered by the Ministry of Education and Sports. Then two, there should be a council resolution approving the takeover of that school by government. Then three, the school should be in a parish if it's a primary existing school, or it should be in a sub-county if it's a secondary school. That sub-county without any existing school. Number four, the school should be able to meet the basic requirements and the minimum standards, including holding a title and having existing infrastructure, qualified teachers, etc. And number six, enrollment and the distance from the existing schools are also taken into account. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, an inquiry into this matter led us to the conclusion that this allegation was not true. Number two, the Honorable Okot Boniface Henry, the youth representative, Northern Region. He raised a matter on the skewed allocation of opportunities and delayed disbursement of funds to the higher education students financing scheme and the adverse effect it was having on the affected beneficiary students. And his prayer is, can government update the House on this matter? Honorable Speaker and colleagues, this is my response. It is perceived that the opportunities in the students' financing scheme is skewed in terms of regions and gender. This is not true, since the allocations are a result of applications for opportunities. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, some underrepresented regions or districts also have very small numbers of applicants, while others have no applicants at all. As a whole, the outcome remains small. The mostly affected places include the West Nile sub-region, the Greater North and Karamoja regions, together with the islands of Karangala and Buvuma. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the affirmative action has been put in place to carry out further and intensive sensitizations on the students' financing scheme opportunities in order to attract more applicants for all regions in the country. On gender, Honorable Speaker, the scheme has a strong affirmative policy practice that ensures that girls get additional points to qualify for funding, much as the scheme attracts fewer girls in the field of science, where the scheme is mostly funding the applicants. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the delayed disbursement of funds to the higher education students financing scheme was occasioned by the budget cuts in the financial year 2021-2022 because of COVID-19, whereby out of a total budget of 29.752 billion, only 15.2 billion was realized, creating a shortfall of 14.5 billion. However, this issue of delays in releases is being addressed together with the Ministry of Finance. Number 3, Honorable Komakech Christopher, Member of Parliament, Aru County. He raised a matter concerning the proposal for redesigning of the national identity cards to have the future of an individual's contact or email and the ministry's plan to improve an identity card accessibility. And his prayer is that what's the ministry's plan to improve on the accessibility of the national identity card and its position on the proposal. Honorable Speaker, my response is that a proposal that seeks to improve the functionality and the accessibility of the national identity cards is commendable. National identity cards play a crucial role in establishing and verifying the identity of individuals, and enhancing their futures can help to make them more effective in achieving these goals. Honorable Speaker, regarding the inclusion of an individual's contact or email on the national identification card, there could be potential benefits of this feature, such as individuals could easily be traceable in case of lost cards. However, it is also important to consider the flip side of it. For example, the potential security risks, personal data privacy, and the legal concerns that could arise from including such sensitive personal information on the cards without the individual's consent. There is also the risk of enabling wrong elements to have instant access to an individual or masquerading as an individual upon the loss of a card. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, telephone numbers are now used for bank authentication, email and email verification. This move would give easy access to an individual's finances and aid fraudulent financial transactions due to these risks, as well as the ever-changing telephone and electronic addresses of individuals, coupled with the legal requirement for consent regarding availability of privacy personal data. These features went omitted in the designing of the new national ID. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, regarding the issue of access, NIRA has come up with the following plans to improve on identity card accessibility. 1, the mass enrollment and mass renewal exercise targeting about 17.2 million citizens is due to start in the financial year 2023-2024 at parish level throughout the country. So Ugandans are advised to take advantage. Number 2, simplification of the registration process and improvement of the online portal. The current process is complex and time-consuming due to the use of obsolete technology and equipment. The system overhaul will make the system user-friendly by simplifying the process. It is anticipated that the traffic to registration centers will be greatly reduced. The number of district offices around the country increased. The newly created districts where there was no physical NIDA presence will be created for. Number 4, the mobile registration outreaches will be able to cater for the vulnerable, incapacitated, elderly, and people with disabilities in many remote zones to bring services